Let's start with the Productivity Tools module. It is perhaps the easiest module to customize. All we need to do is tell GxTend where the KBs are, manage some access permissions, and we're up and running. What are the productivity tools for? Basically, they allow us to browse, search, and compare the knowledge contained in GNexus KBs. Through these operations, we can obtain a general view of the development status. We can browse the knowledge contained in GNexus KBs, navigating through objects or other entities. We can search or filter entities using and combining different criteria. The outcome of a search can be used as a starting point for many other operations. For instance, selected objects can be used for other advanced tools that will be described later. We can compare GNexus KBs and even refine the comparison to detect the differences at the object level. In this screen, we see the navigation through the KB in a very familiar way. Folders on the left, objects and their information on the right. In this screen, we are searching objects, but we can also search in attributes and domains. The outcome is a list of objects that we can use in other operations. So we can think of this screen as a starting point for other operations. The search criteria can be selected: name or description, source code, etc. The search method can also be selected. We can choose from a pattern-like search or the use of regular expressions. Regular expressions notably extend the filtering capabilities in order to refine the search. This slide shows how we can browse a GNexus object through GxTend. It is very similar to the GNexus GUI. We see tags on top that let us choose different components within the object. Although this can be done in GNexus, we have to keep in mind that GxTend is a full web application, so we are accessing and performing all these operations from a browser. So GxTend can become a full web gateway to the KBs. We can access the KBs from any browser from the intranet, and even from the internet if security restrictions allow it. Advanced tools for GNexus. So far, we have navigated KBs and searched within them. But what can we do once we have selected some objects? We have a toolbar to perform advanced operations. We can find their corresponding main objects. This is particularly useful when the main objects are sent to GxTend's compilation and deployment system, or it can flow to the customer's compilation and deployment system through an interface. We can distribute the selected entities, objects, attributes, and domains. We can also make massive modifications in the KB, like object deletion or folder change. If using GNexus 8 or later, certain write operations can be performed on GNexus KBs. We are talking about basic operations that turn out to be pretty useful. At last, in order to increase filtering capabilities, we can cross-match an object list with the outcome of another search operation. Comparing GNexus KBs. There is a recurring need to compare two KBs. There are at least two common scenarios. 1. A developer or administrator needs to deliver changes from one consolidated KB to another. 2. A developer needs to bring changes from a consolidated KB to his own private KB. GxTend allows us to compare two different KBs or two models from the same KB. In the picture, we can see the difference between KBs presented in two result sets. Each result set contains objects that differ from the ones shown in the other result set. We can restrict the KB comparison to certain objects using filters, and we can also distribute the differences. Once we have the result sets with the differing objects, we can compare them in different ways. We will see how in the next slide. In-server comparison. We can process the object comparison in the server or in the workstation. First, let's see the output of a comparison in the server. At the top, we see a visual comparison. The browser is divided in two frames, each one presenting an object and highlighting the differences. At the bottom, we see the output of the diff command. It can be used as input to an automatic merge tool. Merging changes on GNexus objects is one of the research areas at Xendo. Now we see the comparison processed at the workstation. We can download many text comparison tools from the web and use them from GxTend. We particularly recommend GxComparer, made by Artec. It is included in GNexus 9.0, and it is a specific comparison tool for GNexus objects. It is worth mentioning that different types of objects can be compared. This is meaningful when comparing work panels with web panels in a migration to web process. At last, the Productivity Tools module includes a set of specific reports that performs basic queries and also to get rid of inconsistencies in the KB. For example, these inconsistencies may be orphan objects and attributes that do not affect the application itself, but that remain inside the KB.